think what they mean is that people are freaking out about Doge, and this is a trial balloon to get the administration to backpedal on all this cost-cutting stuff. I don't think it's going to work. Yes, I would love for the government to make $500 billion less off of us Americans. That would be great as far as I'm concerned. However, I don't actually see it happening. There's all these stories that I'm seeing on tax Twitter and stuff where people are talking to tax professionals talking to each other. It's mostly them complaining, but it's people are saying it's like I talked to my client and he says he's not going to pay taxes because they're going to eliminate the income tax and all this kind of stuff. It's just not happening. I'm not seeing it. And maybe there's some people out there who think that 2024 taxes are just going to disappear. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. They will continue to be in place. 2025 taxes are going to be in place. Even if they pass a tax bill here in the next couple of months, which they say they're going to do, it will alter 2025 taxes, but it's not going to eliminate 2025 taxes. Even Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, he's out there making the rounds on the podcasts and the TV shows. His proposal is no taxes for anybody making 150K or less. And in our navigators group, I actually went over this in detail, but it's doable. So people making 150,000 or less constitutes 84% of the taxpayers. However, they only pay 18% of the income taxes. So there is a realistic possibility where if they get enough cuts from Doge and those cuts are instantiated by Congress, because Congress right now is still funding at the same levels as before Doge. So if you cut spending, but you're still spending the same amount, are you really cutting spending? I don't know. So if they get real cuts done and they can afford to cut 18% of the income tax as far as the total receipts, like we're seeing here, then that could be a realistic thing as far as no taxes for people under 150K. And if that is the case, then great. And then our job will shift to how do we tweak things so that you're under that threshold. Now, notice, when they talk about these things, they're talking about income taxes. And if we zoom in again here on just income taxes and social insurance receipts, you can see people pay almost as much in Social Security and payroll tax as they do in income tax. And some months, like this month right here, they actually paid more in Social Security than they did in income tax. You have to keep in mind what it is that you're hearing. So if they cut income taxes for people making less than 150K, that does not mean they're going to cut payroll taxes. Because if they did, Social Security would collapse overnight. Even if they pass something like that, you're still going to have your Social Security, you're still going to have your Medicare taxes taken out, you're still going to have your unemployment insurance in some states. So it's not magically you're going to get all of your paycheck, but you're going to get more of it if they do that. So there's that. And I'm all for more. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. However, it's not quite the magic bullet that a lot of people think it is because there's multiple components. So that is my rant for today. The media are liars and don't listen to them.
That's so true.
Anyway, anytime there's a news story that says unnamed sources or people familiar with the matter or whatever, if there's not a name, just ignore it. That's my
Ignore it, yeah.
All right. So on to the questions. Now we've been out for a couple of weeks because we got married in extension season. So as corporations and partnerships are due March 15th, very few people are actually ready by March 15th. So we end up finding a whole lot of extensions. And that just took up all of our time for the last couple of weeks. And then last Tuesday, I think I was just wiped out. So we're back on our regular weekly schedule, and I have the answer to every tax question that there is. And what's the answer to every tax question? It depends. And the whole rest of the time here, I'll tell you about how it depends. Because Serena has these questions that have come in from Fatma too. They have all these questions that have come in from clients that I don't know what the questions are going to be. But the answer is always going to be it depends, and then we'll get into what it depends on. But fundamentally, the US tax system is very customized. And what I mean by that is that the the particulars are incredibly important. So the facts and circumstances around one taxpayer are going to be different than the facts and circumstances around another taxpayer. And so people who talk about, oh, we should simplify the tax code, people have been talking about that for 100 years. And every time they simplify it, it immediately gets more complicated again because it all depends on what the particulars are. That's actually a good thing in that you can get your tax situation reflect your actual life. And you want to minimize that tax burden as much as possible, obviously, but also you want it to reflect accurately what's going on with you as opposed to just some kind of blanket rule that may or may not apply to your situation. So I'm of the opinion that the complexity of the tax code is actually a good thing because it allows us that customization. With all that, what do we have going on here this week?